And we continue learning Dirshu Mishna Berurah, beginning a new Siman, a completely new topic. Siman Kof Lamed Aleph, which are the halachos dinei nefilas hapayim, the halachos of duchening. Says the Mechaber and Sefal ve'in l'daber bein tefillah nefilas hapayim. First halacha, perhaps one that one of us might find interesting. What's the halacha? You're not allowed to talk between Shemoneh Esrei and duchening. Not duchening, that was the previous siman, excuse me, and tachanun. When one duchens, when one falls on his face, when one says tachanun, nagu lahatois al tzad smol, you should lean on the left side. Says the Rama, some say it should be on the right side. And what's the ikar? What's the main? Lahatois b'shachris, during the morning by shachris. Kishiyesh, so it's a little bit smiley when you're wearing tefillin on your left hand. So then where do you lean? Outside Yamin on your right arm. We should cover that tefillin for the cover that tefillin. Ubarvis by Ma'ariv. Oikishayin light tefillin. Already know not wearing tefillin b'smiley. Very critical nekuda. It's not shachris versus not shachris. It's tefillin. Another great example that when you understand the reason, it's a game changer. When we understand that the reason why we don't say tachanun on our left hand by shachris is because we're wearing our tefillin, we understand that if we're not wearing tefillin by shachris for whatever reason, maybe you took it off to use the bathroom, maybe you don't have tefillin, then yate al sad small, then you should lean on your left side. After you fall on your face, you pick up your heaviest chanin ma'at miyushav, and you say tachanunim a little bent over, each place according to their minhag. Minhag pashin, and what is the basic minhag? Loimer v'nachlo neidav v'chati kaddish ashrei lamenatzeach. V'afil b'yamin shein amar tachlin amar lamenatzeach. You say lamenatzeach if you don't say tachlin. Milvad, aside for, as we turn over the page over here, finishing up this Ramah, Milvad, Rosh Chodesh, v'Chanukah, Purim, v'Erev Pesach, v'Erev Yom Kippurim, v'Tishbav. On those days, we do not say lamenatzeach. So we begin over here in Mishnah Berurah Sif Katan Aleph. Says the Mishnah Berurah. Says the Mishnah Berurah Sif Katan Aleph. Ein ledaber. One should not be talking between Shemoneh Esrei and Tachanun. If one does talk, then the tchina, then the supplication that he says by Tachanun, miskabel es kol kach. If someone talks, then his tefillah is not miskabel. And specifically, if he's masik and he talks about other matters, aval sicha ba'alma leslan ba, it's not a problem. V'davka, which is of course a fine nuance. What does it mean? Dvarim acherim versus sicha ba'alma. Continues the Mishnah Berurah. V'davka shlei be'isha sheichsi b'chayzer v'tefillah. Says specifically when the chazan is not saying chazar zashatz. Why? Does either way when he turns chazar zashatz lishtay kol hazin eitim kol bracha bracha. Either way you have to be quiet by chazar zashatz. Listen to every bracha. L'obsim kuf chav tal sef dalit. V'kol shkin del dvar kedusha. Certainly during the very kedusha kigoyin, mashim hafsikim with the china is kigoyin v'uracham. To say v'uracham bevadei mutal hafsik. One shouldn't get an idea that you can't have any hafsik. You can't do anything between the two. No, if it is a dvar kedusha, then it's okay. V'afilu b'sochon l'filas ha'payim, even during tachanun, gamkin mutal adas amini yishmei rabba v'chol dvar kedusha, which again, I'm sure many of these halachas are a bit eye-opening. But here the Mishnah Berurah is teaching us that you are allowed to answer Amen Yishmei Rabbah during Tachanun. Bein Tefillah Sevkata Beis Miu Imav Arvid Dibar. Let's say you messed up and you spoke. Pshitzach Libel Apanav. You still should say Dochli. Don't think, oh, I spoke, so I'm not going to do anything. Motel Esbal B'Makom Echad V'Libo B'Makom Acher. You let it down in one place, say Tachanun in another place. V'Achshal Yafsik B'Amsi. You should not make a hefsik. As we're starting to realize that there's a importance placed between the connection of the Shemoneh Esrei with the Tachanun that we want it right away. It's a shayla even if you can do it in two different places. It says Mishmur that you're allowed to as long as you are not mafsik. Continues Mishmur Sekot Gimel. Kishenayfel al panav, when someone falls in his face, Hine. Nefilas habayim shenagu babiyam rishayim ayav kida. They used to bow all the way down. The haynu lipal al panav, to fall on their face, arts on the ground. Similar to what we do on Yom Kippur, they wouldn't fully outstretch their arms and legs, but they fold their face all the way down to the ground. That's what they used to do. Nowadays, we do not fall on her face is completely. Elabatiyas Arash, we lean our head, Vikisa Panim Balvan, and covering her face. We should cover our face with a garment. V'lo dai kisu hayad, it's not enough covering with your hand. Sheneifel Panav allowed to fall your face on it. Lafi Shayad va'apanim, your hand in your face, or gof echadheim. So again, we're seeing there's an importance to the beged that you're putting your head on. When you daven, the Shekhinah is on your right side. When you lean on your left, then you're upon him. When I go to my left and I lean down, I'm facing the Shekhinah on my right. You should not be on the wrong side of your master. Excuse me, I said that incorrectly. Hashem is on my right. No, I said that correctly the first time. Again, when a person davens, the Shekhinah is on his right side, and therefore when you lean on your left, you are facing the Shekhinah. Whereas if you lean on your right or the opposite, then you are not. Al-Sadi, you mean on your right side. Ki Shekhinah neged Adam, because the Shekhinah is opposite of a person. If it's a smaller Shekhinah, keneged Yeminai. Shumata al yamino, when you lean on your right, v'ashchina kenegda yechavin, small tachas the rosh v'yaminoi techav keini v'ekar sivkat involved. Chayin das ataz among Avram shein l'shanas me'minag, we shouldn't change our minhag. Chayin ago olam v'afilu la'agrod this over the ikar k'mechaber the tamin small. The goyin be'etzem paskins like to mechaber, they really should go on your left. Mikol makom mitzvah v'meisa medrash. V'olam noigin karama, if you're in a place everyone does like the Ramal Ashkenazim. Mikol makom asl l'shanas mishom loisis. Go do what everyone else does. Sheikh Sibra, I mean, Mimina Aron. Sheikh Sibra, that's on the right side of the Aron. Taif Shiat Rosh Ma'at Klabe Aron. He shall lean a little bit facing the Aron. Uba Arvis Ekatik Zayin. What does that mean? Says Mishmur Tzleimer. Litzad Arvis Tainu Mincha. Says Mishmur, of course, there's no Tachanun by Meirav itself. It means towards the end of the day, which is Mincha. She'enon Nogin Leniach Tefillin. We're now wearing tefillin. Mishav Neil tefillin. Gam Shem Yipol Al Yaminai. Vayin B'Chayadim Shem Zad Az Yuchal Lisvach Hadas Like Rav Lipol Al Smalai. That in such a scenario, if someone is wearing tefillin, he can be semach on the gain and be neifel al smaila. The female haggai, which according to the minig sefchant and chas. Medina is elu nagin leimer rachav v'chanan v'chulu. Leimer v'nachlo aneda. We say v'nachlo aneda. Fisha ispalu b'chol inyan shichol adon ispalu. B'yeshiva amidim vidos abayim. You daven any scenario. Kmo shanu shayis v'shavin olav v'shalom shnemar. B'yeshiva bahar v'nechemarativ v'ispalu v'nei Hashem. So we're davening in all different ways. We stood up by Shon Esri. We're leaning down, and now we're sitting upright. And nowadays, as we do not have the strength, as we turn over the page over here, we know the way to David. What should we do? You say it's sitting, but manasa biyamida. You're supposed to stand up by the words of Nachla Neda, but by manasa, that is when you stand up. So we're going to stop over here, but let's just see some of the Dirshu giving us a little bit more of the contemporary outlook of what's going on over here. Says the Dirshu note number 1, even if someone davens in a place without a sefer Torah, and therefore you're not going to fall on your face, as we're going to see, the halacha is you only do nefilas apayim if there's a sefer Torah. Says the Pri Megadim, he's not Rashi, still he should not be mafsik between Shmon Esrei and Tachanun. Similarly, continues the Dirshu over here. It's only if you're Isaac B'dvar Ma'acher, but not Sicha Ba'alma. Previously, Siman and Alf, we learned that by Tachanun, you should not talk at all until after Tachanun. Sounds like you don't talk at all. So how do we answer that discrepancy? He says the Kaf Chayim, according to the Zayar, because the Rizal, even a little bit of talking is also. So I don't know if that's answering the discrepancy, but definitely giving us a heavy hand that one should not talk at all between Shachris and Shmon Esrei and Tachanun. We'll add on that fine nuance of Dvarim B'Teilim and Sicha B'Alma is of course also difficult. But for Dvar Kedusha like Vurachim you're allowed to. Says that the Dirshu number 3, there's some that are Maktim, they say Vurachim first. That's going to be your minhag of Ashkenaz. And if you're in a shul where they say first Vurachim, and your minhag is not to, you first say Tachanun, you fall down, meaning if you have in the Sfar, but you're in an Ashkenaz shul, or the opposite, it says there's some Zalman and Rav Yashiv, that since the minhag, there are so many different minhagim, there's no problem of lo yisis do, and therefore you're allowed to do what you normally do. So again, according to the Gedolei Eretz Yisrael or Shlomo Zalman or Rav Yashiv, Nusach Sfar davening in a Nusach Ashkenaz shul, you're allowed to do Tachanun first, fall down, and then say Vahu rachum. Now let's say you're in a place where it would be nikr, says Rishon Zalman, maybe you should do like that, and perhaps I guess that would be like embroilers, where everyone's doing one thing. However, it comes in Ramesha Feinstein and the Oz Nidbru, and they say you should not change from the minhag hamakayim. So of course this is quite a weighted machlekes what one should do. It seems that both would be accepted on Agas. But perhaps we do find that in America, in deference to Ramesha, many people do whatever the tzibur does, like Ramesha has taught us. We continue with Dirshu number 4. They allowed to answer Amen and any other Devar Kedusha in middle of Tachanun. And even though the Mishnah Berurah says Mutter, says Chaim Kanievsky, it's Chayiv. Very interesting nuance. One would think that Mutter is you're allowed to, but you're also allowed to not. You're allowed to say, oh, I'm in the middle of Tachanun, I'm not doing anything. Says Chaim, no, you have to answer Amen Yishmei Rabbah. Let's say the Sheikh Zibra began Kaddish after Tachanun, while you're in the middle of your own Tachanun, says Chaim Kanievsky, you don't have to stand up, but you should answer up to the Kedusha. What about saying Vahi bin Soya, meaning you're still in the middle of Tachanun, and they start taking out Sefer Torah? Again, a very common case, says Rav Azar Shever Levzi, you should not stop for Vahi bin Soya, you're only stopping for Devar Kedusha proper, Amen Yishmei Rabbah. Similarly for Aleinu, even though you're supposed to say Aleinu with the Sibur, says Chaim Kanievsky, should not be mafsik your Tachanun, rather finish up your Tachanun. If you made a mistake and you spoke, then you don't have to say Tachanun again. Says the Dirshu number 6. The way the Derech Chaim explains what's going on over here, that there's no such thing as a hefsek. However, someone who's davening a Beisa Avel, where there is no Tachanun, and then he goes to his own house, he does not have to say Tachanun. Not like the Derech Chaim. Derech Chaim would seem that in that case, every person say Tachanun by themselves, but that is not necessary. Now we continue with Dirshu over here with an interesting case. Let's say the Shatz messed up, and he began Chatzi Kaddish right after the Chazar to Shatz by Mincha, meaning he didn't say Tachanun. Perhaps a common case, he just made a mistake. Says the Chazayin Ish, that's it. Don't say Tachanun anymore. Says Rav Chaim Kanievsky, similarly by Shachris, and similarly, even if he started one word of Kaddish, he started Yiskadel, done, no more Tachanun. On the other hand, the Shel Shivas Lahiris Nasan says you should say Tachanun after Chatzi Kaddish and then say another Kaddish. Rishon Zalman says the same. So this is one of those situations you're in shul and it's So, I guess those who know Chaim Kanievsky and Chazon Ish are going to say, no, continue Kaddish. And I guess if someone catches him right away, there's a makuv to stop, like Lahiris Nasan, and say Tachanun and then say Kaddish again. Nowadays, we don't actually fall on our face, we just lean our head. What's the reason we cover our face? Says Rabbeinu Bechayai, it's because it's a form of tila. The kisi of covering your face is of type of anava and busha, that you're lowering yourself. The Mateh Moshe says the reason we cover our face is so that not everyone should see that your davening is a form of supplication, it's an intense form of tefillah. So we don't want everyone to see us davening, so we bend down and we want to cover ourselves with our garment. And similarly, it's a form of like ishtach havaya, just we can envision it. If you actually would bow all the way down to the floor, you're in your own little private space of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. That is what Tachanun is. That's what we're mimicking in a smaller fashion by leaning on our hand. Now, if there are 4 amos between each and every person, meaning in the Beis HaMikdash, every person had their own private place and don't cheer each other and be mevayish. The Shiar Knesset Gedolah adds on that when you cover your face, that is some who possess kol magamasai, you have good kavana, and that's the reason why Rishon Zalman says the ikar akpada is that you should close your eyes. Okay, now if we don't know the words, maybe not, but you should be covered. So again, I guess it's like, sometimes you see interesting things, someone's hands here. The ikar is that you're sort of leaning on your arm and you're making sure that you're gazing downward. That is the ikar. And again, we said that it should not be leaning on your skin itself, because you can't cover yourself. We're covering. You have to view the falling of our face as a form of covering our face, which only could work with a garment, and therefore we're going to cover ourselves with a garment. And then we talk about which direction we lean in. And finally, let's conclude with Dirshu number 12. It says you say Manaseh Ba'amida. The reason, says the Aruch HaShulchan, that this hanahaga of starting off sitting and then standing up is that showing us that you could daven in all these scenarios, like the Mishmura said, sitting, standing, and leaning. And that's why we're going to stand up in the middle to show that as such. And we're going to pick it up in Siyat Shmaya and Sif Beis in the next year, in Mirza Hashem.